And like all of us, we all have something from our past, something that still lingers on, or fear that we haven't confronted yet, and it's been there for years, but eventually we have to meet it if you want to move forward in life. So that's one of the messages that I wanted to showcase.
Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of PAR Real Talk here on Power Ace Radio. My name is Pali. I will be the host of the show. And, as usual, we have an incredible guest on the show. So if I could ask my guest, please introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and tell us what you do, please.
Of course, my name is Jon Paul. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a martial arts athlete, actor, and filmmaker. And I created a martial arts film called Dojo. And I'm here today to discuss about the film, everything about the project, and everything that's exciting to come. So I'm glad to be here.
Perfect. We are so glad to have you. So I had a look at the clips, and wow. So as you said, so you're a martial artist. So is that martial art came first before the movies, or which came
Yeah,
first?
it came first. So I actually started judo at the age of 6 with my father. He's been my sensei my whole life. So that definitely came first. The filmmaking and everything came afterwards, and that was really a byproduct of the experiences that I've accumulated, and I suppose a vision that I wanted to express in my own way. So, it's something interesting because I think that art in itself has many forms, and it's something that one just naturally taps into, and I suppose that's why I wanted to use my background in martial arts to convey that. So yeah.
That is really, really, really cool. So part of for those who haven't seen it, there will be clips so you can kind of check it out. You have to see it. With you say you've been doing it at the age of 6, so I'm like, okay, now I get why you can do, like, I call it the Van Damme split, like where your legs are just horizontal, like my hands are.
Yeah.
It's,
Something like that.
it's incredible. So Dojo Films, is that so that's the name of the movie, because
Correct.
yeah.
It's called Dojo. Yeah.
And
Like an actual.
what does dojo mean? What's the
Dojo is a
inspiration?
school. In Japanese, a school that you go to train. So people have different personal definitions, but to me, it's a school that you go to and you train, but you also feel kind of like at home, where you find your place to improve yourself, to better yourself, and to um, take your skills to the next level, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, or all the above. So
That is perfect. I
yeah.
like that. Yeah, very much. So let's come into now the film. So in the film, there's a character called Shane Lucas.
Correct. He's the agonist, and then we have the antagonist. His name is Elias. So he's the bad guy with the beard.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
So, and which role did you play?
I played Shane Lucas. So he he's the character I developed in my writing, and he sort of shared a bit of my background in competition martial arts and judo. Um, but he also was the character I wanted to play around with in terms of um, creating a certain background that I wanted to convey in the story. So his story was about, overcoming his past, getting away from the bad things that draw him to the past, and then having a new beginning. And so basically in the film, he's being drawn by the past again, and he has to confront his fears. So part of, the reason life shows up is for him to test him and for him to confront his own fears again, to confront the past. And like all of us, we all have something from our past, something that still lingers on, or fear that we haven't confronted yet, and it's been there for years, but eventually we have to meet it if you want to move forward in life. So that's one of the messages that I wanted to showcase.
It's a really, really great message. Because like part of the backstory to what I've seen. So he obviously left his he made a decision to leave the Yakuza. Is that what? Yeah,
Correct.
Yakuza.
Yeah.
That's the one. So and from then, so his arch nemesis, nemesis, as you called it, Elias. How did you approach bringing those two characters? Because obviously you wrote the film, so how did you? Is it something in your that you've been through? Because okay, Shane is a martial artist, so that fits to your persona. Or how did you bring this other aspect to it?
Well, I mean, obviously I wasn't really part of the Yakuza, but I would say that you play around with your imagination and you kind of see a life that you could have possibly envisioned or lived in, to kind of see how it would feel. And then, at the same time, using what feels natural to you in your own personal life. So in this case, because I do martial arts, I wanted to use that, because I train and because I'm really into, subtle messages or subtle things that you can use in storytelling. So I would say a combination of all that, and I wanted to use that to kind of move a certain story forward. Because there's a lot to cover with the whole story background, but in this particular case, the short film was something I wanted to capture at a point in time in the character, which is Shane Lucas. So it's a complex process, but I think that what's important is you follow that mysticism within you that you have, whether it's a vision, whether it's something that you feel, and then you put it in writing or you express it outside somehow, some way. So that's my process.
I think that's a great process. And as you're talking about the complexity of it.
Right.
You said the scene. There's a scene set in Los Angeles in 1985.
Correct. Yeah, that's the time
Is that
period.
where you were born, or is that familiar? Yeah.
Well, it's different reasons. I that year and the city, because LA is really close to, Japan, of course. So there's a lot of Japanese influence, but also because of the character. So that's where the feature film comes in, because I have a feature film to the short film that I finished with the script. So it ties into the father of Shane Lucas, his time period spent in Japan, and then the events leading up to 1985, because I'm basically tying in martial arts, judo, and jujitsu, but it's also in combination with uh, Japan's theme of their culture, obviously the crime syndicate of the Yakuza and different crime mob families, and also I just believe that the time period was more interesting to kind of put all that together. So um, my vision was to play around with the different time periods. So in the feature film, we'll have two different time periods, back in the 30s, 40s, and up to the 80s. So to me, that was more interesting than putting it for 2024. At least this type of story that I wanted to showcase.
That's beautiful. I like that. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. And so as an actor, now this one I want to kind of dig in a bit. So because the film is so complex, I don't know if I'm trying to work it
Yeah.
out in my mind. So you have to no, let's put Shane has to go back to the past, deal with the past while protecting the present. It's a big emotional shift, different timelines. How how did that
Yeah.
go?
For this short film, basically he had left the Yakuza, and it's basically him preparing for the future, right? And this case is because he's prepared to meet Elias again to confront his past somehow, some way. He didn't know how it would be, um, but basically his thing was visualizing what was to come. And so basically when he enters his meditation scene, that's basically what he does. He is visualizing what's to come, and he breaks it down in detail. And a lot of his I suppose his persona is kind of like that, um, because he's a analyzer. He analyzes things ahead of time, whether it's, with people or situations, but that's kind of how he goes through life in a way. So he takes in stuff and then he breaks it down. In this case, he's breaking down a conflict that he has with a certain person in the past, and uh, basically he was prepared to confront that conflict in his own way. And so that we see the training and then we see the meditation and then we kind of go from there. So
So I like that. Because it sounds like a film, it's a movie about something completely different, martial arts, but it's something we can all carry on in our own lives. We've all had those, things in the past. We're trying to move forward. And this film kind of gives you like a little kind of break sort of breaks onto, okay, this bit, do this bit. You need to confront what you have before. Then you need to prepare yourself. You need to go through these particular rituals before you can actually before you
right.
succeed, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
no, I like that. There's a great lesson behind it. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And let me
Thank you.
kind of ask before we forget. So um, where can people go and find this film? And with the trailers, you have social media. I know you have a website, which it's definitely very informative with all the
Yeah.
press releases, all the mentions. I would let you give us that,
Uh
please.
yeah. So there's actually different platforms, a lot of TV apps. But I would say the simplest form right now, because right now we're trying to um get it on other platforms, um, such as Netflix, Apple TV. And that is going to come after our Guinness World Record event, because our film actually broke the Guinness World Record. And we are trying to um, get a premiere event going at at an AMC theater, because we want to qualify for the Oscars next year. So the way to do that is for us to have the movie screen at a commercial theater. So we're in the process of doing that with Guinness, and then after that, we want to put it on other bigger platforms such as Netflix, Apple TV, and then of course Amazon Prime. But I would say for now, they could check out the website, which is dojofilm.com. That's going to be the simplest way. There's also other TV apps they can download, but I would say that's the main one for now, because right now we're actually in the middle of a circuit with the film festivals. So right now we have over 477 film awards as of today. And so once we're done with the film circuit, that's when we can focus more on um, the bigger platforms, um, especially after Guinness. We want to do the Guinness event uh, actually in September. So we're working on that. And then, yeah, I would say dojofilm.com. That's where they can check out everything, latest updates on the feature film and then the awards that we're getting. And my social medias, of course, they'll be there too. I have Instagram, Facebook, so I can obviously send that. People can check it out because I have all the projects that I'm doing on my personal social medias, and yeah, so little by little, we're kind of putting it out there. So
That's really, really cool. Wow.
yeah.
When I saw the awards, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And when you were writing that film, or when you were going into the whole project, is it something? I know you won't go, yeah, I was, I'm sure you didn't do it to fail, but did you expect it to go this big?
I expected something, but it wasn't. I didn't know specifically what it was, but it was just like everything. And I think we all can benefit from just doing something because it feels, well, not only natural, but it feels good because you feel as though you're doing something that makes you passionate, but something that feels truthful to you, that you're putting out there. So that's basically what I aimed for first, and of course expecting to have something good out of it. I didn't know if it was going to be the Guinness. I didn't I didn't really I didn't I'm not sure if I really expected that, but at the same time I expected something good to come from it. But I would say, yeah, it was just a matter of putting it out there and then doing what felt that you needed to do, right? So I think that's the first step to anything that you want to accomplish, whatever goal it is.
That's really cool. I'll
Yeah,
take that on board myself. And
yeah.
now you're at this stage. Kind of like a personal question now that you started a project, you had an idea of where it's gonna go, and now this thing is blowing, and this is only just the beginning. How do you ensure that you take time out for yourself to not burn out? Because it's always, especially in the art industry, regardless of what you do, there's always a go, 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 and for you have a tunnel vision.
Yeah, I would say I don't look at it as work, and because the route that I'm taking is a bit unconventional. So I would say that for me, I don't mind doing it every day because for me it's a bit like therapy.
Mm,
So it's not something I believe I need a break from. I mean, sometimes I need a break probably from the legal stuff or trying to, and that's different. But in terms of the actual craft, the passion behind it, that will always be, you know, every time, not something that I will have to necessarily have a break from. Um, so it depends on how you look at it. For me, I look at it as something that drives me to do even, the next thing, whatever the next thing is. And I think that everybody, should benefit whatever they're trying to do, to try to focus on that mindset, to not look at it as work and not to think that they need a break unless they feel that they need the break, and that's different. Only you can know that feeling that you're getting. Um, so that's something that is intuitive, but you have to learn how to develop that skill to kind of be aware and alert of the process, right, and how you're feeling.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
I like that. So be in tune with yourself. See what your mood is. If you're happy to do it, keep going, keep going. But make sure you take time to check back on yourself. Like, am I okay? Am I doing too much? Do I need a break? So yeah, no, that's a great.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
let me ask this about like my random question. I love food. Um,
Oh, so
I,
do I.
food from God knows how many places in the world. So if Dojo the film was a dish, what sort of dish would it be? What sort of ingredients are in this dish to make a
I would say you definitely have your appetizer, you have your entree, and then you have your dessert. Now, what it's included, that depends on, I suppose, the person, but I would say, it'll definitely there's definitely some spices behind it. Um, some, exotic taste, but also it's kind of like one of those foods where you want to digest to taste it, to feel the context of the complexity of it, the texture, and that's relative to the film in the sense of open interpretation. There's different ways you can kind of see how things play out or what this message means, the symbol behind it. So that's a bit kind of like my analogy when it comes to the food, right?
I like that. That's great. And I just take this one from your answer. You said it's open to different interpretations depending on who is watching it. So for you creating this movie, when somebody has watched it, what emotions do you want them to feel? How do you what do you what's the film? What do you want it to give them? I know I gave you a little snippets of how I felt, but how do you
I would say,
put
I
your
would
take?
say, yeah, I would say, a variety of different emotions, and that might be different for everybody, but definitely, something internal. It could be something more specific to their own life, maybe something that, you know, that reminds them of a certain time, but that they have to continue moving forward. That's one example. It could be something that they, that they feel, but they don't know what it is because they're being connected to something, uh, outside of themselves, something more internal, and something that connects them beyond space and time. So it's like a mystical feeling that, I would like for them to capture, and something, of course, to visually see how that can play out. So in this case, it's, the dojo, the guys coming in, the meditation scene, um, the visions, the flashback, and then the father, right? The father's there, his spirit lives on. Um, so I would say that type of combination is something that, that the person who's watching can kind of, experience, whether it's something, uh, novel, something new, or something that they can already relate. So
That's really cool. Thank you. And kind of going on from there. So is this your first movie or have you had previous ones?
it's my first movie
Mm.
that I produced and I wrote, and well, yeah, all three: produced, acted, and wrote. I've actually acted in other films, but this was the first one that I put together on my own. So it was my
Mm.
very first one.
Oh, wow, that's really, really incredible, and it's blowing off like this. And
Yeah.
the next bit really maybe is an answer for me, or maybe I'm sure it will be useful to other people. Um, Obviously making a movie, you have yourself, you have like all the different acts, you have, you know, the cameraman, you have God knows what else, lightning, I don't know. So much goes into making a
Yeah.
movie. It's not just a little snippet, it's a whole movie. Working with all these people, how do you do it? Because working with people is so hard. When somebody goes, "Oh, I can't come today," or "Oh, this thing is not working," how
Yeah,
do
I
you
would
manage
say
it?
what definitely that's one of the hardest parts, because the production took over. I actually started in 2021, but to put together the right cast, it took time because, mind you, it wasn't a big budget, right? So most of us, I paid the director and the crew, but everybody else, we were all doing for the labor of love. And these are people that I knew personally, right? They're judo players, the judokas from the judo community, or they're friends from school. Like Chris Elias, he's been my friend since, for the past 15, 20 years now. So, he's someone that, definitely was reliable, and that's what I was looking for: people who were natural in the role, but who also were reliable, that you could trust to be there, and that you can, that have skills, of course, right, for the particular role. So these were all judoka guys. So, and they were good at, naturally at the role, which is martial arts and taking direction. So, that's something that I felt that was necessary, because if you had anybody different than that, it may not have worked out the way that it would have. So doing that, it takes a particular skill, I believe, to kind of know who's right for the role, who's not, like a casting director. And on top of that, we had the rehearsals. So the rehearsals are something that you have to do. You have to, do repetition in order to get the movements right, but also to get the scenes right, the vision right. So yeah, and putting everybody together is definitely a challenge, but when you have the right people, it makes it a lot more efficient. And on top of that, we had COVID at the time, so this was, I mean, COVID was a lot more profound in 2021, 2022 than now, but for example, we had to delay the set because we were supposed to shoot the first time, and 2 people got COVID, including myself. Actually, there was 3 people. So we had to postpone it for a different time, and then we had to postpone it again for different reasons. So, so a lot of it is timing and trying to put everything together exactly the same time and the same moment with the same people. So, but what's important is to be patient. You have to, kind of see this in the long run, not hurry up. Because when you try to hurry up, it doesn't come out always the way that you want to. So you have to learn how to be patient and to, learn to put things together with time. And if it doesn't happen this time, that's fine. You have to adapt, be flexible, and then, okay, now we set it for this time, or we do it this way. So it's the whole Zen martial arts aspect of it that you have to apply in your everyday to-day life. So you have to learn how to use that mindset to, adapt and to be flexible no matter what. Because otherwise you'll always be frustrated, and that's the last thing you want to do. And that limits your creativity process or your flow, right? So
absolutely. This is becoming more of like a teaching. I feel like you're one of those master, the masters of the long white beard. It's full of that's really great.
Yeah.
So, and kind of as we're wrapping up, I know you've told us about a few bits in the future, like in the immediate future, but what's big in the projects? What's next for us?
So the feature film to this film is what is coming next. I have the script done. So right now what I'm looking for is financing. I'm looking to get a major production budget, because this would require a big budget in order for us to shoot in Japan and LA, have certain locations available. Obviously everything, right, to make a professional high budget film. So that's the next thing. And I'm working on a different short action film that's going to be related to this one, but that'll be something a little separate though. So I would say the feature film is the next thing. And for me personally, I'm working on a different action film with another director, and on top another crime thriller film that I'm working on my own time. But when it comes to this short film, it's going to be the feature film. So that's going to be the next big thing, and I'm looking to hopefully start production sometime next year. So right now we're trying to get the budget and trying to get the production company to get involved. So that's kind of the process that we're going with right now.
Wow. So it's all go. Thank you.
That's the only way.
And wait, so yeah. But we'll be there all to share your all your social links so people can follow you on your project, as well as go and check out Dojo the Film, check out the website. It's simple, dojodefilm.com.
Yeah.
Get it wrong. DOJO, thefilm.com. So yes, thank you so much for coming on the show. Any closing remarks for us on Power Radio?
No, thank you for inviting me. It was a great talk, and I really appreciate your time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about the feature film, everything in the future with you.
We can't wait to hear more. But yeah, until then, it's such a pleasure.
You too, Patty. So much. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, okay?
Bye.
Bye.
You're traveling on the airwaves of Power Ace Radio.